A very good morning to all of you listeners. Welcome back to your own channel, and today we're going to talk about the 187th day of your godly blessing. And before we go ahead to the godly blessing for the newcomers, have a look at this link over here which takes you towards flexibility, yogasans, and diet. Everything is given over here, and also share it with others. So let's go ahead with today's blessing. What does Baba have to say? Baba talks about the power to tolerate. Somebody is shouting at you, somebody is screaming at you, somebody is blaming you, somebody is pointing fingers at you, whether at your job, whether at your household, whether at your business. What are you going to do? We're going to explore all of that over here in a bit. So let's understand what Baba is to say. Baba says in this blessing, may you have determination in your thoughts, and with the speciality of the power of tolerance, transform the sanskars of others. To change others, we need to change ourselves. That's what we learn, right? So I cannot force somebody by shouting or screaming at somebody to change that person's view. I'll rather make it more confirmed in that person's mind that yes, because if he shout at somebody, the other person's ego gets generated and the person starts defending himself or herself. And the more we shout, the more we scream, the more we blame, the more that person defends, because nobody likes to be put down, right? So if we want their defenses to be taken away, and if we really want them to change, then we need to tolerate. So what does Baba have to say? May you have the determination in your thoughts, and with the speciality of the power of tolerance, transform the sanskars of others. Let's get into the explanation part. Just as Father Brahma means Adam, or the founding father of Brahmakumaris, God Father himself called him the first human who has the highest intellect, the highest wisdom, or has the capacity to absorb God's knowledge to the complete, and to transform himself and be an example and a sample for other children. So we follow Father Brahma in terms of him changing himself when God the Father directed him. The first child of God changes, then the other children of God can also change, right? So the elder brother has to first change. So Brahma is the elder brother of all humanity, or the father of all humanity also, you can say, in spiritual terms. So Baba says, just as Father Brahma tolerated insults from Jnani and non-Jnani souls. Jnani and non-Jnani means somebody who knows Supreme God Father, who knows that he is or they are a soul, who knows their previous births, who knows when the cycle is going to change, when the cycle is going to come to an end and a new cycle will start. All that knowledge helps us to become totally detached from the things, from our bodily attainments, from bodily achievements, from bodily relationships. We become a being who's detached and attached to God, attached to being loving, attached to being kind, attached to being tolerant, attached to being many more other qualities. So God says that knowledge whosoever has is a Jnani soul, and whosoever doesn't have is a non-Jnani soul. So a non-Jnani soul will be attached to things, my thing, my property, my husband, my wife, my children, and that attachment brings in a lot of trouble, and that person can get angry if you try to take a little bit of things from them, whatsoever it is. So Baba tries to say Jnani and non-Jnani souls. So just as Father Brahma tolerated insults from Jnani and non-Jnani souls and transformed them in the same way, follow the Father. Transform them means he did not shout back, he did not scream back, he did not blame back. He took the insults, but the other souls, when they cool down, just like you have a tawa, you have your rotis which are being cooked on that tawa, and that tawa is hot. If you try to put water on top of it, immediately what happens, right? So somebody is hot, somebody is heated up, somebody is getting angry, somebody is getting pissed off, and if you try to put water, if you try to say something sweet and something kind, something nice, or if you try to give reasoning, what happens? It just goes on to that tawa like that pan, like that water, which just touches it and just evaporates. That person will not understand anything. So it's better to keep quiet, tolerate. When that tawa or that pan or that person or that soul cools down, they'll realize what they've done, and that brings a change, and they'll see that you never replied back, you never insulted them back, you kept quiet, and that puts you higher in their mind with qualities and dignity. So Baba says, for that simply have determination in your thoughts. Do not ask yourself how much longer you can do that. How much can I tolerate? How much should I tolerate? They're all trying to put me down. They're all trying to overburden me. They're all trying to point fingers at me. How much should I tolerate? God says, well, anybody who tolerates becomes a king. A king has the power to tolerate. not his disciples, right? Or not his followers, not his praja. So who has more power? Who needs more power to tolerate? The king. And only a soul who has the power to tolerate can become a king, not somebody who gets flickered up, or who gets totally ignited at some point because of certain words or certain point of finger pointing or any sort of blame. So somebody who is able to accept that, who is able to tolerate it, has the right to become a king, has the right to become somebody who's a great soul. So you want to ask yourself how much longer you can do that. Initially you may feel, how is it going to happen? Baba says, how is it going to happen? How much longer am I going to tolerate? How much will I tolerate? Every time I do something, they point fingers, they say something, they put me down. How much will I tolerate? How will it happen? God says, even if someone says something about you, you just stay quiet. But now, while staying quiet, what do I think? That's where the knowledge comes. The part of the knowledge where we can recollect, what is my role? What am I going to become? See, because without an aim and object in life, nobody will work hard. You won't work hard for your IAS exams if you don't have IAS exams in front of you. If you don't have an aim and object, you won't be like, okay, I have to stop sleeping, I have to give up TV, I have to give up my phone, I have to give up my friends. That's where you can accept, you have the power to give away things or give up things, right? Similarly over here, without the knowledge of what am I going to become, how much time is left, what is the next birth, what the whole world is going to change into, how the Kali Yuga is going to come into end, how the destruction will happen and a new world will come about. Without that knowledge, why will you work towards getting peaceful? You'll reply back to that person, this is my property, this is my friend, this is my family, this is my child, how dare you say that? Where attachments will be there. So when the knowledge comes, how much time is left, how much time is remaining, and what needs to be done, how I need to change, then the vision becomes bigger. It's like that IS preparatory person who's preparing for the IS. He has a bigger vision than person who doesn't have that vision around him. They'll be enjoying, they'll be dancing around, they'll be with their friends, they'll be enjoying themselves and doing other things, but this person knows that his vision is bigger. So that's the thing. Knowledge is very crucial. Gyani or Agyani. If you become somebody who's Gyani, who take the knowledge, then you'll have the power to tolerate. You'll understand why you need to tolerate. What is it in for you? What is the gain in it for you? And what are you going to achieve? Then only you'll have tolerance. Otherwise, why do I need to tolerate? I'll give back that answer. I'll give a reply back to that person. I'll show him his place. All those thoughts will come to your mind. So Baba says, even if someone says something about you, just stay quiet, tolerate it, and that person will change. Now that's the benefit. That person, when that person cools down, that tawa or that pan, when that tawa cools down, then if you put on that water or that calming balm onto that person by saying, well, that day something happened and I understand that there was misunderstanding, and that person is cooled down, then something will happen. Otherwise, when that person is screaming, shouting at you, and you try to put water on top of it, you know on a hot tawa what happens. So that person will change, that person will realize that you were calm, you were quiet, you were keeping your calm, you were keeping your tolerance, and I was somebody who was screaming, I shouldn't have done that. That realization will come. Not today, maybe tomorrow, maybe after 10 days, maybe after 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. That person will realize that they're spoiling their health, they're screaming about, they're spoiling their mental health, and in the eyes of God, they're falling down. So that realization comes. For some, it comes quickly, for some, it takes time. Till then, we have to tolerate. The person who tolerates becomes the king. King of their own mind, king of their own destiny, king of their own mood first, and then king in the future. So, don't get disheartened, God says. Don't get disheartened that how much will I tolerate, for how long do I have to tolerate. If you have the power to tolerate, then a king becomes when that king can tolerate things, right? And a sculpture is created only when the sculpture is hit with a hammer and a chisel. So when people are hitting you with a hammer and a chisel, imagine that you are getting sculpted into a deity. So with divine qualities. I leave you with this beautiful Vardhan. Think about it. And if you have any comments, do put them on in the comment section if you want to add up something. Have a blessed day. Stay safe. Stay home. Om Shanti.